It is currently the 23rd of October, and Jagex have announced Necromancy combat changes. This was released on the 20th, which was the Friday, and I know I'm a little bit late, but I'm going to go over these changes because I think these changes are really good, and it's better for Jagex to strike now whilst the iron is hot than rather to wait a year to make these changes. So I'm actually really impressed that Jagex are making these changes right now. So here are the changes that should be coming to the game by the time this video is released. Right, so we are adjusting the conjure spirits and to tone down the power level while improving the quality of unlife. Adrenaline cost has been removed from conjures and condemned abilities. This is really good. In my 100 KC of Hermod, I mentioned how you had to micromanage adrenaline in relation to your abilities, in relation to your conjures, and that became extremely mechanically intense just to keep that upkeep going. And it's really good that Jagex are removing the need for conjures to use adrenaline, which I think is great. That's a good change. Approach. They should have normalized the damage across. Yeah, blah blah blah. They're addressing the vengeful ghost. I haven't unlocked this one, but apparently this one was really overpowered. But this is the thing that I want to bring up. We'll be introducing new abilities and conjured undead army. So basically, they are releasing an ability that lets you use multiple conjures at the same time, which I think is great. However, I just don't like the fact that it's locked behind level 99. We could easily see a level like 60 when you unlock it, but you only have 2 slots, and then you can unlock more slots as you level up. Because I think micromanaging your conjures is really annoying, especially if you're playing manual. It makes the game more mechanically intense than it needs to be. It does come at the cost of using more ectoplasm, which I think is a fair change. And overall, I feel like these first set of changes are really good so far. And the next thing following from these changes up here is the combat beta announcement. Jagex will be releasing a combat beta to test out future changes for the combat system, which I think is great. So let's go over them. So they enabled the damage potential for all combat. This removes the hit chance from the game, which is good, which I think is a long overdue. Increase the damage cap for all combat styles. Right. Implement specific crit chances, and this is something I want to bring up. Because one thing that I really want from Jagex and the current combat system is an identity for each combat style. And magic and range feel the same when you play them, right? There is no distinct difference, and with this implementation of a simplified crit system, I think you have the ability to give class identity to magic, melee, and range. So let's go over this. So their crit chance is based 10% to all classes, and then crit damage is based off of your same formula as Necromancy for all styles. However, it could possibly change. So basically, the way this works is that you have 2 rolls. The first roll determines how much, what's the likelihood that you're gonna crit, and the second roll is how hard you're gonna crit. I think this is really fantastic because you can now create different playstyles. Essentially, right? You can have, let's say, melee, for example, that can not crit that often, but when it does crit, it crits for an insane number of damage. But then you can have magic that's, like I said, a consistent one that's just 10% both round, right? Then you can have range that crits very often, but the crits aren't that powerful, right? So you can actually play around with these to create 3 distinct class identities. And again, this will be problematic, but then Jagex need to maintain this and balance it accordingly so that the classes feel unique and feel like, well, you want to do, if you want to do big damage, you can go with melee. If you want to do consistent damage, you can go with range. If you just do normal damage, you can do magic, right? I feel like this does a lot to add class identity back into the game, and I want Jagex to experiment with this because I don't like how certain combat styles, particularly magic and range, feel the same to play. Okay, and then they released the drop tables. See what else they got. Drop tables, and then just balancing updates and patch notes. So yeah, conjured skeletons. Again, a lot of these conjures were overtuned, and I'm glad to see that they are nerfing them. Right, so the conjured skeleton from 27 to 33%. That's when it was originally, now 22 to 28. That's great. Additional damage has been changed to damage increase. Okay, previous range. Okay, this is fine. The conjured putrefied zombie that apparently was broken. I didn't get to use that much, right? So it's great that they are nerfing him. But one thing that I did use, if I remember correctly, is this one. So during my 100 KC of Hermod, I used the Vengeful Ghost ability, and because of it, I would pretty much be infinitely sustained, even without using a scrimshaw vampirism, not scrimshaw, an aura vampirism. I felt like the healing was too strong, and this I'm glad to see that they actually listen. They actually listen to the feedback, because for an early game player getting into PVM, it shouldn't be a cakewalk doing one of the core bosses, right? Hermod is one of the core entry level bosses, and if you're just doing a cakewalk and you're not actually being challenged and you're constantly, you don't even have to worry about your health because you gain so much health from your conjures, your vengeful ghost conjures. I found this conjure in particular really powerful and overpowered, and I think they could even go as far to make this to 100%, because I think the amount of healing there is, we often forget what the early game and mid game is. We could even change this to the healing value. Sorry, the healing value could scale based off your level, so you can start at 125, for example, and go all the way to 175 at end game. You could do that, but just reducing it flat out is a nice and impactful change, in my opinion. Right? Let's see if there's anything else I want to talk about. Life transfer, invoke death. Okay, so overall, what I'm really looking forward to from these changes is the crit chance rework, right? And it's been rolled out to all classes. I hope Jagex experiment with different classes and create unique identity for each one of them. I hope they do that, because I think that's a good opportunity to add class identity back into the game. The Vengeful Ghost, I think, is great. Not the Vengeful Ghost, sorry. The Conjure Undead Army, I think that's great. I think it needs to be lower level so players can get it earlier rather than later, because it is really mechanically intensive to micromanage, pressing all these buttons to micromanage some of these conjures. It would be better if you just starts at like a level 60 or level 70 and then it upgrades as you level up. That would be better, in my opinion. And yeah, just the removal of adrenaline cost. These are all really good changes, and I'm glad to see that Jagex are making some impactful changes, right? Instead of focusing on the negative, which is all the MTX crap that is going on, we can actually focus on something that's impactful. And I want to see Jagex do more and more of these changes, and actually talk to the community about what they want to do. Because right now I don't know what their idea for the future of RuneScape combat is. I hope it is going in the direction of class identity, because I think that's the best way forward. I know some people don't like that, but I think overall it's the most balanced way, because then you have clear themes and you can balance around those themes rather than balancing around what's overpowered and overtuned. Because if you balance around themes, then you can always pull things back or push things forward depending on the scale of how powerful they are. Because it's all rooted in a particular theme. So overall, I'm really happy for these changes, and I want to see Jagex do more. So thank you very much for watching. I'm out.